Karan is part of or half of Pixelmatic, let me say so. And as we all know, Pixelmatic are experts at creating WordPress websites. They have created some very complex websites and also manage some of the largest WordPress-based websites in India. And they are mavericks when it comes to WordPress website technologies, as well as creating websites that generate leads and are actually marketing friendly. Over to you, Karan. Please tell us how to design our websites fast.
Thanks, Anu. So, yeah. So, quick introduction. So, I manage the technical side of things at Pixelmatic, which means that I take care of the technology, the setting up, and implementation of the website, taking the customer requirements and converting that into the actual product. So, I've been building websites since I was 15, which makes it about 20 odd years. It's a long time. And again, on and off, personally and professionally as well. We started Pixelmatic came about into existence about 2015, so that's about 5 years. But been into development for a much longer period. Um, so design your website fast, right? So I would like to start with why would you want to build a website fast? In what are the situations which will compel you to build a website fast? So if you're a new business, you are tight on budget, you have less resources, that could be a possible reason. If you have a campaign coming up, it could be an online campaign, offline campaign, you want to promote it, you want to make a microsite for it, or a landing page for an event, that could be one of the reasons why you would want to build a website fast. And when you shouldn't build a website fast is when you are an old business and you have the resources, you have the time, just don't just don't get into this whole fast thing, because it's very different when you are a startup versus when you're an established business. If you're an established business with enough resources and time, and when I say time, I don't mean like a year, right? I mean, I'm talking spending about 6 to 8 weeks, or 4 to 6 weeks on a decent website, which takes its time in terms of content, your website planning. You're taking care of all the images that go. You're having productive discussions with the agency. Engage with the agency. If you are an established business, don't as a founder, don't start doing things on your own if you're an established business, because you have a business to worry about. Uh, Starting a website without content could be another reason why you shouldn't do it fast. If you have no content, which means text, images, media, videos, whatever it is that you have to put on the website, just don't even think about doing it fast, right? It's a recipe for disaster. It can cause a long-term damage to your business, your brand, and it could be a lot of things, right? So another reasons is if you don't have a set goal for the website, and you just, somebody told you, hey, you're a business, you should have a website, and you said, fine, I'll have a website, right? That's not enough. That's not a good enough reason. You need to have a goal for the website. What is the purpose of your website? What is the goal of your website are super, super important. And you can't do it fast if none of these things are in place, right? So if you fall into any of these categories, don't do it fast, right? If you're a startup, or if you have a campaign event, that's the time when you can think of doing it, because the amount of content is a lot lesser. The you're looking for a quick turnaround. It's still possible, right? These in these cases, it's just going to be a disaster. Right now, what are some of the platforms which can allow you to make a website fast? These are mostly the common ones. GoDaddy has its own page builder. A lot of people end up buying the domain from GoDaddy, and they end up buying the hosting from GoDaddy. And they said, okay, it's giving me a free page builder. Why don't I use it? It's definitely a good way. I mean, it's a fast way to do things, but GoDaddy would not give you the kind of the level of professionalism, or the templates are not really up to the mark, in my opinion. But that's, I mean, one way to do it, for sure. WordPress, I'll talk about WordPress in a bit, but definitely WordPress is not the largest. It is the largest CMS out there. So WordPress is one platform. Shopify, if you're an e-commerce platform and you don't want to spend a lot of money initially, this is again, I'm talking with respect to you're a small startup, you want to get online, you want to start selling. Maybe Shopify is a good fit for you in that case, and it has great templates. Definitely a lot of good templates. Very less overheads. If you are decent enough, technical, you should be able to set it up yourself, and they have support so that can help you out. You can also get in touch with freelancers who can sort of help you with Shopify as well. Very, very popular. Wix is another very, very popular site. This is especially popular amongst the people who are designers and photographers, and mostly creative people. They tend to use this a lot. I mean, it's definitely popular. So again, fantastic templates, very easy to set up, super fast, but it does have its limitations. If it doesn't have the flexibility of some of the other platforms out there. But definitely, if you're looking for a template and you don't mind that Wix branding and all that stuff, this could be an option you could consider. Squarespace, very similar to Wix. Decent platform, good interface, good easy to use, so no issues there. And constant contact as well is a relatively newer platform. But all of these platforms have some pros and cons, which you need to weigh and see where your requirements fit. And based on that, you'll have to assess. And this is usually a complicated question because every business is sort of different, and it's hard to say in this call whether your business will be rightly suited for it. uh, but I mean, you can go on our Pixelmatic blog, and we have compared some of these platforms, and maybe you can find more about it, or you can just Google some of it and see whether that fits your needs. Right now, our preference is being a WordPress agency. Pixelmatic being a WordPress agency is definitely we are more inclined towards WordPress, and we have good enough reasons for it. These are some of the reasons. It powers 35% of the web. That's a large chunk of the websites, right? It is the most used CMS out there by a huge margin. There is no other platform which comes even close at this point. It's in 196 languages, which is what makes it most popular, because the kind of reach it has is just phenomenal. Um, some of the other stats, we have about more than 54,000 plus free plugins on WordPress, and this was as of later half of the last year. So now I'm sure it's crossed a lot higher number. And 30% of the top 1,000 sites in the world are running on WordPress right now. So these are some of very compelling reasons why we chose WordPress over anything else. And again, there might be people who don't like WordPress. They have their own reasons for it. I'm not going to get into a debate of which is right and which is wrong. Everybody has their reasons. There are businesses who, there are platforms which are like possible that Shopify would be a better platform for you over WordPress given a certain situation. But again, it depends on your use case. But we feel that for most people, WordPress is definitely a good choice to have a web presence, right? Before we get down to some nitty-gritties of how to get the website done fast, a quick recap on some of the basics. If you are new to this whole website thing, and if you have no idea where to start, so the first thing you do is you buy a domain name, which is your www.yourname.com. You could buy it in a bunch of places. Most popular definitely seems to be GoDaddy, because they invest heavily into marketing. So you go to GoDaddy, you buy a domain name of your choice. It's a fairly simple process. The domain name, most domain names are fairly cheap to buy as well. You go buy the domain name, then what happens, right? Most people get stuck at this stage quite often, and a lot of our clients, they said, "Oh yeah, I've got a domain name, I don't know what to do now." Right? Please help me. I also bought hosting from them, even though they don't understand what hosting means. So in simple terms, hosting is a place where your website actually is saved and is served from. which means that when somebody requests for your website, it is served from that particular server, right? Which could be with GoDaddy, it could be with some place, someone else, right? So uh, you buy the domain name, you get the hosting. Hosting can be from where you buy the domain name. Let's say in this case, it's GoDaddy. It could also be from other vendors. So there are some other vendors for hosting as well. And you buy the hosting from them then. And then what you need to do is you need to connect your domain to your hosting. And that is done through DNS records, right? So DNS records, in short, you can connect it through a name records, CNAME records, and name server records. Again, these are very simple items. Adding an a name record in your for your domain will connect it to a hosting, right? That's all you need to understand if you're looking at the basics. If you want to get into details, just do a quick Google for DNS records and ename and NS and what's the difference, and the the MX record, which is your mail records, because all of these things could sit in different places. So all of these records are basically for your server, for your mail server, etc. Right? So it depends. To keep it simple, you point your name server records to a third-party vendor, and everything is all with that third-party, hosting. Right? So how this works is you request for, let's say, Google.com. It sends a request to a DNS server, which is there are a bunch of DNS servers globally, decentralized, and it basically gives an IP address that okay, this particular URL sits in this particular hosting, and then the client is forwarded to that particular server, and then you basically get your site, right? So this diagram pretty much explains that, right? Now coming to the host, you have three types of hosting. You have the most popular one is the shared hosting. So a lot of these sites, which you might see in, let's say, Big Rock or GoDaddy, and a couple of other popular ones, which will give you hosting for maybe a couple of hundred rupees per month and so on and so forth. They are mostly shared hosting, right? Now, the disadvantage of shared hosting is it's basically one server and you have a bunch of websites running off that server, which means you are sort of the resources available for your website are fairly limited, right? And so in case you get a traffic spike, or in case you have an event and you suddenly see a large amount of traffic, you just decide there is a possibility that it might go down because shared hosting usually doesn't have a good way to scale when needed. But it's the most popular because a lot of people just want a basic website running. But it's fairly limited in resources, is what you need to understand. You have something called managed hosting. So in case of WordPress, that's what we recommend, which essentially means there are specialized hostings just for WordPress, right? So these companies, their platforms are purely made for WordPress. So all the tools they have, the interface is a lot less complicated. The setup is very easy, and the support staff which they have is easier to reach. I mean, there have been times when I've spent maybe 5 to 6 hours to reach a GoDaddy support team, but in a managed hosting, it typically takes about less than 5 minutes to chat with someone like a human and get the answers I need, right? And since they're trained, they're specialized in WordPress. So even if you have a very technical problem in WordPress, these guys sort it out for you. On the flip side, it is definitely a little more expensive, but like when I compare 500 rupees a month versus, let's say, $25 a month, right? Now that seems like a huge jump, but you have to understand that extra money you're paying, you have to assume that you're paying for an extra resource. It's like part of your team. It's like you investing in a technical person, right? Almost can take care of your server, right? And do all the things that are required. So you have to think like that. Don't just compare 500 rupees versus $25, whatever that comes to. But you have to think that there is a dedicated technical team at your disposal anytime you need. It's 24/7 support, so that works out great, right? Then you have VPS, and personally, I dislike this option a lot. Again, there are use cases where you need a VPS, but that use case in case of a WordPress is fairly limited, right? And let me tell you why it's limited. This is again definitely one of the most favorite option of at least I've noticed in India. This is definitely one of the favorite options of most people because we have so many technical, smart technical people in the country that everybody wants to have a VPS. But what they don't understand is, let's say your friend is a technical person, he will set up your site on a VPS and he will go back to his job. Now you are stuck with a website running on a VPS. Who's going to take care when something goes wrong? With the VPS, it's an unmanaged server, which means it's just a blank server sitting on, let's say, Amazon somewhere, and you have to take care of that server. There are server maintenance. If your site goes down, how to bring it back up. You have to log into that server, which is fairly technical in nature. If you're not that person, just don't buy a VPS. It works out cheap, but the overhead of managing a VPS in the long run is just way higher, especially if you want to do something custom, and if you're looking to scale. I mean, this is scalable solution. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, there are use cases, especially in the enterprise segment, where this can work well. But this is a giant waste of time if you want to get started fast, and this is a giant waste of resources, and it's a nightmare. Okay, so stay away from it. If you don't know what VPS means, assume that you've never heard of it. If your friend is setting it up for you, request him not to do it on a VPS, because if you are going to manage it, just stay away from it, right? I mean, we have moved countless clients off their VPS into a managed server and reduce their development time, turnaround time by more than 20, 30 times. And I'm not even making these numbers up, right? Just to give you one example, there was a client in the enterprise, one of the enterprises, I can't name them, but very, very popular client. And and their turnaround time for a particular issue was typically, like, I'm talking a simple issue, like you want to update a banner on the website, right? Because of processes, because of the server limitations, etc., etc., it would initially would take us 5 days, right? Back and forth, talking to the team, there are approvals needed, and I know God knows what was going on, right? We moved them to manage hosting, simplified the process. That gets done in under 1 hour now, right? So when you compare 1 hour without conversations, without phone calls, to 5 days, that's the difference I'm talking about. It can make in some cases, right? I mean, it depends on case to case, but personally speaking, that's basically the level of impact it can have, right? So go for managed if you can afford it. If you have very minimal needs, you can go for shared as well. I wouldn't recommend it though. There are cheaper alternatives for managed hosting as well, and you can Google manage WordPress hosting, and you can compare the prices. And there are we have again written about it on our blogs as well, the comparison between different hosts, and you can take a call on what suits your budget. And again, they all have their pros and cons, but that's basically you can take a call, right? Now, coming to WordPress setups, if you, I'm going to take an example of a managed WordPress host and not a shared host, but shared host also offer these functionalities as well. You can see on the left, it will be similar. So left is basically a screenshot taken from SiteGround, and the right is Insta. This is my personal favorite, managed WordPress host. So on the left, you have a cPanel. You have these automated installers, which these cPanel will give you. So you can look, there's a WordPress icon there. You click on it, it will take you to a form. It will look something similar to the one on the right, not exactly the same. But you just fill in your details, what's the URL, what's your username, password, etc., etc., and then you just hit install. And under 3 to 4 minutes, you will have a WordPress site ready. That's how quickly you can install a WordPress. More other things like security and stuff, and you have the option of, let's say, selecting the data center, which basically means that if you are in the Asia Pacific region, then you might need to select a data center closer to your location. Kinsta has a Mumbai location. If majority of your clients are in a certain location, then that's basically should be the deciding factor of the location, not the not where you reside, right? It doesn't mean where you decide you need to choose that. So fairly simple process. Just fill in the form. No complexity there. Uh, if you don't understand anything, don't check it. But in this case, let's say you have a domain name, you've already pointed your name server to this host. Then you select a brand new WordPress install and just fill in the rest, and that's pretty much it. It takes less than 5 minutes to do this, right? Not a complicated process at all. Once you are doing the setup, you will get a username and password, and basically you have to install. We have in WordPress we have something called a theme, and we can also install plugins. Now plugins we can install at a later stage, but just to talk a little bit about themes, right? So themes is basically like you can think of it like a skeletal structure for your website, right? Now, if you want to build a website fast, will most likely buy a theme which you might purchase from, let's say, Theme Forest or any other marketplace. And I mean, there is a, I mean, you can also, I mean, but we are talking fast, so we are going to buy a theme. If you have very custom needs, if you are not going to build the website fast, like I mentioned, the points, some of the points I mentioned before, then you are better off probably using a custom theme. This is something which we recommend for companies which are in the growth stage and enterprise level, and we don't recommend them buying a theme at all, because it's a lot of extra work and overhead in the long run. But if you're a startup, if you're an individual, then a theme might be a better fit for you, and that's fine, absolutely okay. There are some downsides to a theme, but that's another topic. Again, you can read it up on our blogs, and we've gotten into a lot more details on that front. But yeah, if we are looking at it fast, so we're going to go with the theme right now. Uh, Another thing which you might need are page builders, and I'm going to talk about it in a short while. So page builders, so you have a theme which serves as your basic structure, skeletal structure of your site. So it can give the look and feel of, the theme decides how the header should look, how the footer should look, what sort of fonts you are going to use for your website, upload your logos, maybe some SEO settings, maybe some blog settings. It gives you a bunch of options, right? And I'm going to take you through it in a short while. And then you have something called page builders, which will allow you to actually build the pages fairly quickly, right? And so we'll get right into it. So let's actually build a website right now in this session without getting into too much theory, and we'll see how easy it is, right? So quick quick download on the page builders front. So these are some of the most popular page builders for WordPress. Some of you might have already heard them, used them, had a bad experience with them, good experience with them. You can let us know in the comments, in the chat section. But I'll just take you through. Visual Composer, definitely one of the oldest drag and drop builders for WordPress, but also very bloated. Now I feel there are much better options, but again, one of the most popular plugins out there. DB Builder is another plugin from Elegance, which is very, very. Elementor is again very popular, a favorite of a lot of developers as well, and works really well. Same goes for Beaver Builder. They're mostly relatively new. Like Beaver Builder is about 2 to 3 years old. Divi is slightly older. Visual Composer is very old, and Elementor sits somewhere in the middle. But both of these are great options. If you're comfortable with a particular one, it's fine. I would personally go for Divi, Elementor, or Beaver because they seem to have certain advantages over Visual Composer. Again, not getting into too much detail now, but yeah, I mean, if I have to choose, I would choose among these three, right? And if I have to really choose, I would choose between Divi and Elementor. The reason being that Beaver is still relatively new, and as a company, as a product, I don't know where the company is heading. So far, it looks great. Like if it survives another 3 4 years, then you know it's a good investment. But there have been times when you buy a plugin or you buy a theme, and the company stops supporting that theme or plugin, and then you are just left with a plugin which is not supported, and then you have to probably redo your site. So that's a risk. So go with a company which is well supported, well backed, and has a I mean, you can only project, but if you expect future, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, which is what your website will. I mean, 2 to 3 years is probably when you will look at redoing your website anyway, right? So you need to think on those terms. So DB Elementor, Beaver, Visual Composer are some of the page builders. Yeah. So let's do that now. I already took the liberty of creating a WordPress site. I filled the form. I put in my details. I got this URL because it's a development setup, so I didn't attach any domain name to it yet. So it's called buildfast.wpengine.com, and I created a username and password. So this is the login screen which you see when you create a WordPress site. Now just hit login, and I also took the liberty of installing the theme in the interest of saving time. Uh, so yeah, this is how the WordPress dashboard looks. You get a welcome message, you get a quick update on a couple of things on your site. These are some active widgets. You can add and remove widgets, move widgets, etc. Uh, Again, this is standard WordPress. You can quickly YouTube a WordPress walkthrough tutorial, and there are enough tutorials out there to take you through each of these individual things if you need to. And in my opinion, if you spend about maybe 2 to 3 hours just watching videos on how to do each of these things, that should give you enough confidence to start doing this without any hesitation, right? It's super easy. Interface is very straightforward, not complicated at all. It's used by a lot of non-technical people. So if you're worried about it will be complicated, I don't understand this, then believe me, this platform will do good for you, right? So I installed the Divi theme because it comes with the Divi builder. So for the simplicity's sake, because it's a Divi theme is a very simple theme. It doesn't come with too much bloat. It looks fairly simple and well supported. So like I was talking about theme options. So these are some of the theme options you will see when you install, let's say, any theme. This might look different for different themes, but the options might very much be the same. So you can upload your logo. It gives you whether you want a fixed navigation bar or you want a non-fixed navigation bar, which means that when you scroll your website, the top bar stays fixed. So it's as easy as just enabling, disabling it. No coding required whatsoever. You can choose your default color palette if you have one, matching with your brand logos. You can ignore it for now, and maybe you don't need it. Um, there are some other settings which you need to see, whether you want to use Google Fonts, you want to show social media profile links, and I mean, different themes will come with different options. So you'll have to see what works for you, and there are a bunch of options which you can have a look at. And I didn't do anything right now. I've just left everything default. I've not even uploaded a logo. I have just left it as it is. So for the ease of use. And this is how my site looks right now. Right? If you go to buildfast.wpengine.com, this is how it looks right now. It's nothing. It's the default WordPress. There is a default post which is showing. There's a Divi logo which is showing. I've just added a footer here, and that's it, right? So now let's build a page, right? So we'll go to pages. That's where you create pages. And right now, these are the three existing pages: sample page, privacy policy. These are all default pages. I created one extra page, which I'll show you later. Let's create the home page. So you say add new. Let's put a title. And these are some of the default WordPress options. You have the page layouts, and whether it's a parent, you can ignore all of that if it's just a new page. Again, you can look at the tutorials to get into details of that, but not really important. I'm going to use the DB builder. So I clicked on that link. Now, here's the thing, right? Now, we are talking about building a website fast. Now, if you think that you are going to turn designer in a day and make a world-class website, that's not going to happen, right? There is a science behind websites these days. It's not making a website is very easy, assuming you know what you need to build, right? If you don't know, which is where I said that planning is very important in the beginning, because if you don't know what you want to build, you can't, right? You just can't. You'll be lost. You spend a day, you'll actually waste a day or two or a week, and then realize that you've not reached anywhere, and it looks like really, really bad, and you can't possibly put a site out there, right? So let's say I'm going to assume, for the sake of this session, right, that you you are an individual, and you have maybe a small business. Let's say you have a yoga studio, right? And you want to put a website out there talking about what sort of services you offer, work timings, and make it look really, really professional and world class, right? And you are not a designer. I mean, you are a yoga instructor, right? You don't know anything about design on that level that you should be able to make a world class site, right? So why even attempt, especially when you're looking to make it fast, right? So don't do that. So I would stay away from build from scratch option if you don't know what you're doing. If you're not a seasoned developer or a designer, just stay away from it, right? If you're a designer and not a developer, this still can be a great option for you, because no coding is involved in any of these pages, right? So I mean, you can use one of these themes and never touch a line of code. That's how great they have become, right? So I'm going to choose a pre-made layout. All the page builders, Elementor, Beaver, Divi, Visual Composer, they come with a fantastic library of pre-made templates, right? And I'm talking hundreds and thousands of templates. You can also buy templates separately, but I would say, if you don't know what you're doing, the inbuilt templates are really, really good enough, right? The themes will come with the pre-made templates, and the page builders can come with a template as well. So you have both options. In our case, it's Divi, so it's all the same thing. Uh, Use them, see what is closest to you, have the content ready, you know what to write, what images to put, and I would suggest, if you're looking to build it fast, have a look at the layouts and try to figure out your content for that layout. Now, this is not a great approach for the long run, and only works for smaller use cases. But I mean, we're talking about building it fast, so I would suggest choose a layout and then take your content and mold it for that particular layout. It will look a lot better. The end result will be a lot more professional. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose a pre-made layout. Now you can see that there is a long list of templates here, right? And I'm going to, let's say, go to lifestyle. Uh, let's see what they have. Let's see if they have anything for yoga. Okay, so they have yoga pages, right? The style looks great. They have an about page layout. I can quickly preview it. They have a blog page layout. They have pages for classes. They have a contact page with a location and a form, some basic information. They have a home page layout which talks about what I do. They also have a landing page in case I have any, promotion running or a campaign running. There's a format for that. And then there is a team page in case you are a small group of yoga instructors getting together, or it could be just about you, right? So I'm going to make a home page since that's what we are making. I'm going to say use this layout. It's going to start importing all the images, fonts, everything, and it's going to load on my page. And if you notice that now DB builder. I mean, these are called blocks. So these are a bunch of blocks which have just appeared on my page. I'm going to hit publish first, okay, and then get to this backend side of things to show you what has happened uh, in the front page. And so our URL is this. I'm going to click it and see whether it's done a good job of loading it. Okay, so it says Yoga Studio, load all the images. Okay, student lovers, some sample content, and that's my homepage, right? And it took me less than 5 minutes to get. Now all you need to do is change this to your Yoga Studio name, have a tagline, and say get started, right? You can get started, can link to another page, or it can link to the same page. You can scroll down. You can change this to whatever you like, and I'll show you how. And just fill these things. These could be the three potential services you're offering. You might have more, you might have less. You can change it. Fairly easy to do. These are some testimonials. You can have more, you can have less. Choice is yours. And now this is the page which we have created, but we will see that this is not the home page. So we have in WordPress, we have to make a particular page home page. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to head to the settings, and where is it? Yeah. So I'm going to go to the reading settings. It says home page displays your latest post right now, which is what's happening. I'm going to select a static page and I'm going to select home page from here, right? And I'm going to hit save. Now, if I go back to my website and I hit refresh, that's it. My home page is done, right? So now when I go to this particular URL, I'm gonna have this page as well, right? And I also took the liberty of creating an about page previously. So I'm gonna click on about, and I can see that there is an about page here as well, right? Which has a different set of icons and content and some. I mean, the templates basically help you in getting some structure. So you can talk about the locations, how many courses you offer, how many students you have. So they a lot of these templates they are already pre-thought for a particular business of what you can put out there, which looks great. So that's why I said you can look at these and then mold your content based on that, because it can give you some idea. Also, if you notice that a lot of these content, they have like a title and then let's say 3 or 4 lines in them, right? Now, what happens when you do the content yourself? And again, this is a specialty of content writer. You should hire one if in case you have very specific needs. It's very difficult to summarize everything in 3 lines or 2 lines, and this might be a bit of a struggle. But try as much as you can, because the moment you have different lines, the look sort of starts. This is 5 lines, then maybe this box is a little bigger, and this is smaller. You might have uneven boxes, and that's going to look horrible. And there are ways to get around it, but still. So try to get if you have a long testimonial, try to paraphrase it, or try to get just a piece of the testimonial, just to sort of fit in the layout. That will do you a lot better, right? So I mean, this is as easy as creating a page. Now, if you want to make modifications, now this is where there is a bit of a learning curve, but it's fairly easy. Again, if you watch, I would say about videos on YouTube for, let's say, Divi builder tutorials in this case, for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, that should give you enough information to start editing this page, right? And so, so far we set up the website fairly faster. We got the WordPress set up. We logged in, we selected a template, we loaded the template which we liked, and we hit publish, and the page is live, right? Now you can see that this page is divided into different sections. So this blue thing is one section, this white thing is another section, again this blue is another section, and so on and so forth, right? And you can see here our page is divided into 3 sections: hero sections, become a member sections, join, call to action section, right? Which are these 3 sections. So I'm gonna, let's say, change the title of my yoga studio. So this has title, subtitle, and a button, right? And if you notice, you have text, text, and button, which is exactly the same way how it is laid out here. And on the right side, we have an image, and on the right side, I see an image. So whatever you see in the backend, you are seeing exactly the same time, same format in the front end. And if I scroll down and see the next section, you're going to see something similar as well, right? So we have become a member section. It has 2 or 3 rows. The first row has text, text, text. So let's see. So this is 1 text, this is 2 text, this is 3 text. The reason is use 3 different text modules is that this has a different font style, this has a different font style, this has a different font style, right? So whoever has made the template has decided to make it 3 different modules, right? So what are modules? Modules are these little gray boxes which you see. It could be an image, it could be a text, and every theme, right, irrespective of which theme you're using, come with a bunch of modules. So let's say if I, instead of this button, I want to put something else, right? So I'm going to, let's say, click on plus, and these are the different modules I have available for me. I can put an accordion, I can put an audio, blogs, bar counters, blurbs, buttons, comments. I mean, the list is pretty crazy, right? You can put pricing tables. Of course, it won't make sense to put it here, but maybe you have a video instead of an image. So instead of an image, if I want to just put a video, all I have to do is click on the video. I say add a video. I can either add a YouTube video URL, or I can upload it to my media library. Do that, and it will start loading up, right? It's that simple. So let's change the title. I click on this little gear icon which says edit. I say build fast yoga studio. That's it. And I say this is a sample content. We have the best yoga studio in the country, right? And I hit update. So refreshed, I hit refresh. Fast Yoga Studio. This is my content has come. Now, if I want to change images, it's the same thing. I can click on this. I can, choose a different image, let's say I select this image instead. This seems to be in similar size. I click here. I hit update, and that's pretty much it, guys. This is how easy it is to get started and build a website. Stick to templates if you're looking at fast, and choose a theme which, and of course you can still change a lot of it. Let's say you don't like the bluish color which you have. I mean, that's going to be a little tricky because all these images are also following a similar color palette. But let's assume, for the sake of the argument, that you have different images and you want to put your own images, and that is different from this. You want to change the color of this. So this is section color. So I'm going to go to my section, which is this blue thing. So it's section, rows, and then modules. So I go to my section settings. I go to my background. I can see the same blue color. It's a gradient, so I can, there are two going from left to right. So let's say if I change it slightly towards different, let's say I go the other way, I do a dark blue, and I saved it and hit publish. It's going to change the gradient, right? So now if your logo has blue and you want more blue element to it, or a different blue, whatever the color is, right? You can do all of that. And that's it. That's basically, you now go through each of these modules, update the text, icons if you have to. Uh, there are so many modules. So like for instance, this particular bit you see is an icon. It's called a blur module. So you have a title, you have the content, and then you have image and icon. If you don't want to use an image, you can use an icon. It has a preset of icons which you can use. Let's say I use this just for the heck of it. I can do that, and I can then customize the color of the icon, the size of the icon. Uh, if I want to add any animations to it, it's all really simple, right? Uh, so I change the icon. Uh, let's assume you want to add some animations to this whole piece, right? So again, it might differ from page builder to page builder, but it's fairly easy in pretty much all of them. And again, I would suggest watching a tutorial on YouTube to how to use a page builder first, and that's going to maybe take you a couple of hours. And then as you use it, it gets better. And I'm going to, let's say, use a fade animation, or let's use a bounce animation, as crazy as it may sound, and hit update. And again, I'm just using the default settings. If you really want to get into details, you can decide how much it should bounce, when it should bounce. Should it bounce only when you scroll to that section? Should it bounce on page refresh? There are a bunch of things you can customize. If you don't know anything, or if you're getting confused, stick to the basics, and at least you'll have a better looking website, right? Now I added the bounce animation, and you can see that when the page refreshes, it bounce effect, right? So you can choose. Again, don't go crazy with animation, because then your website will start looking like a video game. You don't want to do that on a serious looking website. You can use subtle animation. So I would choose, let's say, slide, fade in, bounce. Also, you can use in, let's say, call to action. Let's say this button can be a little, if this is what you want people to do, then that's on, how you can grab attention. And you can use that, but just take it easy on the animations a bit, and you'll be better. You can see it's already having a fade in effect, and stuff. Just refreshing. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is how you can build a website fairly fast, and that's pretty much it.